Welcome to Gray Overload. And now we have some concrete information of when we can get the Radeon 9000 series GPUs. David McAfee from AMD came out and said that those will be able to be released in March. So get ready if you want to have a mid-range card. AMD is going to be able to have a new release for you in March. I really wish it was January, but with I don't know what AMD's thinking or what's going on there, but it seems like they're having everything set up for March now. I don't know if it's the questioning of where Nvidia actually sits on performance, or just that they wanted to have their own event and they were so, you know, held on to that saying from CES, we got to have our own event for these processors. We can't, dare say that it was something else that we messed up, that we're able to give our slides out to everybody of what on this product, as well as have everyone there was releasing it and their cards. We even have unboxings happening already for people getting their hands on these cards that have been on the web. But here AMD is March time frame, and I think what AMD needs to do here is really make sure that they are nailing the price to performance on this. You have the Intel series, while it is in that $250 range, as long as you can find it for MSRP and lower, AMD needs to come in there and compete. Now, we know Nvidia is going to be on the high end. We know Nvidia's got that 5090, the 5080, and we also know AMD's there's been leaks out there that it's not going to hit the performance that is going to be a 4090 or higher. So we know it's going to be lower than that. And where that all sits is going to determine where the prices need to go. Now, AMD has or I don't think AMD is, but the rumor is it's going to be about 4080, in between that 7900 XTX and 7900 for their top end SKU this time around, which can be a good release. You just have to then nail the price on that for the performance to make sure that it's an attractive card. If that 5070, right, is truly a 50 or 4090 equivalent, and I'm putting that in huge quotes because we all know what that meant, then it's, AMD, I think, was a little scared by that, right? We all know that it's not going to be unless you're going to have that multi-frame gen on, it's not going to be equal to the 4090, but AMD couldn't risk it. I think AMD was a little scared there that it would just take over, their whole strategy, and they would be left with nothing right out of the gate. And now it looks like Nvidia is going to go through their release, and then AMD is going to come with theirs. So we'll see. Hopefully AMD doesn't pull what they've been pulling, which is we start high in our prices and then they come down over time. Makes reviews look bad, right? Because then you have a bad product in reviews and everyone looks at the reviews and say, well, every reviewer says it's a bad deal. So as the price comes down, there's a reassessment, right, that needs to be made, but you've already done your damage, right? You have to capitalize on, and since you're going last on all of this stuff, you have to capitalize on the correct price to get that momentum and get everyone looking at it, right? You don't have the benefit of another release coming after you besides the 5060, but at that point, the 5060 is coming after you. That momentum, who knows when Nvidia is going to release that. If I'm Nvidia, I mess with AMD if they're planning on that a little bit there. So we'll see where this all going, but I'm glad that AMD finally has said something on this. It's a disappointment that they've I don't know, it seems like they've fumbled this. It seems like that they were, going really well. They have a lot of momentum with that 9800 X3D. That thing you cannot keep on shelves. It's just flying off. Their X3D chips are going so well for gaming, and they had so much momentum with that. And when you come over to the Radeon side, it's just like they decide to just put up obstacles so they can trip over themselves on trying to get out a product. I get it that they don't have a high-end product this generation, which can be fine, but let's hit that mid-range product where it needs to go, and they're just not. just not going with all strides right now. I'm sure that the DLSS 4 has been there, and maybe they needed FSR 4 needed a little bit more time or something like that. They wanted to get this out so that they all had a good software to compete against Nvidia as well. Who knows where all this is? I'm sure that there'll be some leaks on why this is all being, you know, trickled out down the line. And some of the stuff too, where micro centers and stuff have these products, could be trying to get ahead of tariffs, which fine, but at the same time, you could be, instead of sitting on store shelves, you could be doing, getting it out to consumers, and they could be using the products, using the products as well. So this is one thing where I look at it, I look at what AMD's done, and I really want these products to do well. I like products to do well. Every company to come out with good products that compete well, because it does then benefit out the consumer in the long run, where we have good products across the board, and then price is going to have to be driven down to a certain extent in that competing realm, so that you can, you have the best product for the best price. But when you kind of fumble this, and no matter how good a product is, right, if you keep fumbling stuff and you overprice it, or you don't, deliver on something that you said you were going to deliver on, all of a sudden there's reputation stuff here, and we'll see what AMD can do with this, right? I really hope that their marketing department has learned. I do not want to see all this, frame generation to say our products are four times better or whatever, just because we can do this frame generation, so our product is equal to our new product's equal to the last generation's high-end product, even though it's nowhere near that. But with this technology you can use, you can make it that way, right? Let's do raw to raw, same tech on both the older generation and newer generation, see where they sit and see how much the cards have improved. And I think people will be appreciative of, under promising and over delivering, rather than over promising and hope that you're okay with the numbers that have been modified to look the best it can. We'll see where AMD was with this, but I would like to actually test out these cards. I think that they would be a nice mid-range card for everyone that's looking for a mid-range. You come in with a great price, AMD, but let's say you put the 9070 XT around the, I'd say $480, $500 mark, someplace in there. You're probably going to have a home run depending upon where the performance sits. So we'll see where AMD comes down with that. And let me know what you're hoping for. Are you going to be getting one of these when it is March? Do you wish that it was earlier and should have been earlier? And how do you think do you think AMD's been running this actually a good, straight and narrow and everything? Or do you think they've been fumbling a little bit and a little confused on what they're actually doing? Leave that in the comments below. I'll be sure to read them. Thank you so much for watching Gravel and help this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon, as it really does help out the channel. And until next time, God bless.